Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are back in Scotland. As you might be able to tell from the change in the background, I'm filming beer reviews in front of my drum kit once again, which is always good fun. So as I always like to do when I come back to Scotland, we're going to kick off the reviews with one of my local breweries beers, and I've got one that I've never tried before. So for this review we are going to go back to Williams Brothers Brewing Company, who come from Alloa, just a mile or two down the road, and we're having a taste of the Klute today, which is a West Coast IPA coming in at 5.6% ABV. So this one I think should be really interesting. This is brewed exclusively for Aldi stores from what I remember. They started off brewing exclusive beers for Aldi a couple of years back with the Perfect Storm and the Golden Ratio, both of which were very, very nice beers. And I would say that generally the Williams Brothers beers tend to be, quite light and quite sessionable ales, but they've got a wide variety of different things. There's a lot of golden ales and pale ales and stuff like that in there. There's some stouts and there's a few red ales and things as well. So they've got quite a diversity within that kind of session ale bracket. But they've quite recently released some Tallboy cans, which I understand are a little bit more like American style craft beers, so hopefully I can review those for you at some point. But like I say, this is another one that is exclusive to Aldi stores. You can't even get this in Valhalla's Goat in Glasgow, which they own because of the kind of exclusive rights, if you like. So really curious to see how this one turns out. I enjoy a good West Coast IPA, so I'm curious to see how kind of adventurous this beer is actually. So let's see how we get on, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one as well. Nice to be filming some Scottish reviews for you again. So yeah, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Williams Brothers Brewing Company before. No doubt there will be some more at some point in the near future. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Scottish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Williams Brothers Brewing Company then, on to my brewery notes. So as I've told you before, Williams Brothers Brewing Company started out as the family-owned Glen Brew home brewing shop through in Glasgow, and the first ale that they produced was inspired by a 17th century Gaelic recipe for Freach Heather Ale, and this was named after the Celtic mythological hero of the same name. But back in 1988, a woman of Gaelic descent came into the brew shop with a translation of this ancient recipe that she'd made into English, and she wanted to make a batch of this and share it with her family, and she agreed to share it with Bruce in exchange for help brewing the batch basically. And I think there's basically an arrangement where this woman now gets as much of the beer as she wants. But they produced a very small batch of this, only 5 barrels. This was made in Taynote railway station over in Argyll and Bute, and the following year word of mouth basically spread knowledge about this beer, and the demand had just kind of grown exponentially, if you like. But the official start date of Williams Brothers Brewing Company is listed as 1992, and they really went on to make a name for themselves brewing historic ales such as the Freach Heather Ale. So at this point when the brewery was founded, Scott Williams joined his brother Bruce, and they began to develop other historic recipes. This includes the Groatsit, which is a gooseberry wheat ale, the Kelpie, which is a seaweed ale, Abelum, which is an elderberry dark ale, and also the Alaba, which is a Scots pine ale. I still need to review the Kelpie, the Groatsit and the Abelum for you. I need to see if I can get a hold of those through in Valhalla's Goat. But these 4 recipes were produced and developed at the Craigmill Brewery in Straven between 1998 and 2004, which is of course home to Strathaven Ales now. But in 2004 they relocated to their current base, which is the 4th brewery in Kellybank in Alloa, and this was when they adopted the name Williams Brothers Brewery. But oddly enough, these guys are the last brewery in the old brewing capital of Scotland, and over the years they've built up the capacity of this brewery to 100,000 hectolitres of beer per year, and they've got plans to build another new brewery as well at the current site, and this is going to have a capacity of 200,000 hectolitres of beer per year as well. So a pretty big operation, these guys now, and they are also co-owners of the Drygate Brewing Company with tenants through in Glasgow actually, which is pretty cool. Basically the Drygate Brewing Company is the sort of craft arm of Tennant's Brewery, which is and they do some pretty nice beers, I have to say. I need to review a few more of those for you on the channel, and you've seen my kind of brewery visit video that I did for them a little while back as well. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about Williams Brothers Brewing Company for the moment. As I've said to you, it's a family-owned business. They've got a few different pubs through in Glasgow and things. They own Valhalla's Goat. They've got the Inn Deep, which is the kind of pub underneath Valhalla's Goat, of course, and like I say, they're co-owners of Drygate Brewing Company as well, which is a place that you should visit too. But yeah, that's all you need to know about them. If you want to learn more, of course, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer and Untappd pages to get a bit more information on all the different beers that they have. But that said, the website has a pretty extensive list of all the different things, although oddly enough, they don't actually have a list of the Aldi exclusive ones. I thought they might have made a different page for that, but maybe something for them in the future. But if you're interested in nice kind of sessionable ales, that is what I would really recommend Williams Brothers for. So yeah, let's have a look at this beer then and see how we get on. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open it up. If memory serves me correctly as well, I have a feeling that this might be the first canned beer that I'm reviewing from Williams Brothers for you on the channel. I think pretty much all of them have been in bottles. I don't think I've even tasted a beer out of a can from these guys, but really nicely presented. There you can see the nice kind of Celtic symbol there for Williams Brothers Brewery. As I mentioned to you at the start of the video, this one is a 5.6% West Coast IPA, and it says on the back here, this clean, cool West Coast IPA is brewed with a US ale yeast and pours golden in the glass. A slightly sweet malt character builds before unleashing the citrus burst of the classic combination of Citra, Mosaic and Chinook hops. So yeah, should be an interesting one this. I'm really curious to see how close this is to some of the American ones, because you know, as I say, I've had, you know, Joker IPA and the Double Joker and things like that. They are a little bit more kind of traditional and English, if you like, than what you would find from some other breweries in Scotland. The Joker, of course, is probably their main IPA, but to me it's a really nice kind of sessionable ale, so I'm curious to see if this one's a little bit kind of bigger and bolder and things like that. But yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. So, as you can see with this beer, it's obviously filtered. It's a lovely kind of clear golden amber colour there. It looks pretty nice actually. But if I shine this one through the light, it is quite a rich medium amber. It's almost like a kind of, it's almost like a Czech lager in terms of its colour actually. It's got a little bit of that amber to it. You can see there's one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, quite a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of the head there, and overall it just looks pretty nice. The head incidentally is a solid 2/3, 3/4 finger, and it's frothy, and I would say it's cream coloured. It's not perfect white, but yeah, it looks really nice, this one. Not out with the realms of possibility for an IPA, this one. A lovely kind of rich golden amber colour. I know there would be a little bit of caramel or carapils or something like that in this one to give you that lovely slightly richer amber colour. But yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on with this one. Oh yeah, that's pretty nice. Straight away with this one, I want to say there's Maris Otter in here. I'm pretty sure about that, because it's got that distinctive kind of smooth breadiness, and it's also got a little bit of the kind of biscuity malt as well, which is interesting. So I want to say there's a bit of Maris Otter in here. So straight away you've got a lovely kind of white, smooth breadiness. This one's got a little bit of a kind of brown bready quality to it as well, in fairness though. But on top of that you get a little bit of a sweet caramel. You also get a bit of the kind of more McVitie's digestive biscuity type quality as well. But the malt base, I have to say, comes across very, very nicely and very inviting. That's what I've been saying to you on the channel. I've really missed these IPAs that have a little bit more of a kind of sweet, biscuity, caramelly type malt base to them, because it seems that the haze craze is kind of taken over and the West Coast IPAs have been pushed aside, but they do seem to be making a little bit of a comeback, I have to say. But yeah, the aroma of this beer is pretty nice and pretty inviting, I have to say. So when it comes to the hops that are in this, Chinook, as we know, is a big kind of piney resinous hop. Citra is quite mango-y, it can have quite a few sort of tropical fruit complexities. Mosaic leans more towards that kind of tangerine-y, orangey side of things for me. And for me it's the Mosaic that really stands out in this one. This beer really leans towards that tangerine orangey type quality. I mean, you can get little bits of mango and maybe a little bit of the kind of lychee gooseberry type thing that you would get from Citra. I don't get too much in the way of aroma from the Chinook, but if this is the combination they're using, I would guess that Chinook is more likely to be the bittering hop in this one. And it doesn't, this beer, in terms of the green side of the hops, it's got a little bit of floral quality, but it's got a good little bit of grassiness as well, and a slight earthiness. This one doesn't come across as being too punchy in its aroma, actually. It's really quite a more mild smelling, or quite a more reserved smelling IPA actually, but juicy oranges and a nice kind of smooth bready and slightly caramel and biscuity malt base actually. The green side leans towards the grassy end of the spectrum, not overly floral and kind of crazy, to be honest with you. But I mean, overall this is a really quite nice smelling beer, I have to say. It's quite inviting, and it strikes me it's quite similar to some of the other ones I've come across from Williams Brothers before. So I do think this again might be a kind of sessionable type IPA. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. Take a bit of time and enjoy the aroma before you actually taste the beer. But I think this one will be quite nice actually. So yeah, this one is the Klute, a West Coast IPA coming in at 5.6% ABV from Williams Brothers Brewing Company in Alloa here in Clackmannanshire in Scotland. Let's get stuck into this one. Sláinte, skål. That's pretty nice actually. I mean, again, it sort of sticks to this mould that I feel Williams Brothers have. It's a nice, sessionable, drinkable beer actually. So that is pretty nice, I have to say. I mean, I'll say thumbs up to Williams Brothers beer for this one. They've done a good job of this. Just be aware with this one, when it's saying like it's a West Coast IPA, it definitely fits into that category in terms of the flavour profile. But it's not, this isn't one of the beers that's going to blow the head off you. This is supposed to be a nice, sessionable, drinkable beer actually. So yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a good way to describe Williams Brothers, from my experiences so far, is that they're kind of a good gateway brewery, if you like. So this is the sort of brewery that will get you into drinking a bit more adventurously, and you know, these beers have a lot of kind of nostalgia value for me. Caesar Augustus is still a firm favourite. Paradigm Shift is one that I really enjoy as well. And March of the Penguins, you know, it's a really lovely stout, that. So, you know, I think it's fair to say that Williams Brothers, they kind of straddle the line between being a sort of craft brewery using the American hops and all these kind of things, but they still like to do the more kind of almost traditional, sessionable type beers actually, which is interesting. But as I say, those tall boys have come out recently, and I'm wondering if those are a little bit more adventurous actually. So yeah, keep that in mind with this brewery. But I like this. I wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. No. So yeah, let's try and break this one down then. So middle of your palate, you've got a lovely bit of that kind of smooth, bready malt there that blankets the middle of your tongue. As you come further forward, it gets a little bit sweeter. Like in the very centre of your palate, you can pick out a nice little bit of a sweet kind of caramelly quality. As you move further out from it, it's got a little bit more of a kind of biscuity edge to it as well. It really becomes a little bit more like a kind of McVitie's digestive, biscuity sort of thing in there. But the smoothness of the bready qualities really remains here, and I do suspect it's Maris Otter that's in there. There might be a few other things in there as well, but I think Maris Otter is taking a big role in this beer, I should say. Yeah, that's it is a really solid beer, this one. I mean, this is really quite a good gateway beer for getting people into, you know, the bigger and bolder type IPAs. I'm trying to remember how this would compare to Joker. I mean, it's not a million miles away from Joker, albeit I think this one is slightly sweeter and more caramelly than Joker was. Double Joker, I think this one is maybe not quite as big as Double Joker is. And obviously I think that one's around 7.5%, so it is a bit, yeah, it is a bit heavier than that, but this is a really nice sort of sessionable take on the American West Coast IPA. I wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. This is a nice beer. I would say though, this would have been a fairly good one to release in the tall boys as well, actually, because it's got a little bit more kind of bite to it than some of the other Williams beers that you'll find. So yeah, I really like the way that malt base comes together. It's definitely got a little bit of that kind of traditional Scottish Englishy type thing as well. But on the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, there's a little bit of earthiness there. As you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, you can feel it smoothens out a little bit. You get some nice kind of floral aromatic notes on the front edges, the front corners of your palate, and then around the front curve of the tongue it's a little bit lighter and more grassy in my mind. And behind the front curve of the palate there's that little oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. But yeah, I like how that goes together. On the fruity side of things then, if you go to the back of that oily bubble, you can pick out a little bit of the kind of grapefruity notes, which will be from the Chinook, but they're quite minimal actually. They really mellow out a little bit and give way to other things. For me, you can pick up a wee bit of the Citra in a way. There's not too much in the way of mangoey flavours. This one really becomes more orangey and sort of tangerine for me, which indicates the mosaic is taking a little bit more of a big role in this beer, if that makes sense. But as you move further forward from that, you can get a little bit of a kind of gooseberry lychee type thing on the edge of the tongue before you get the kind of grassy hoppiness at the very edge of the palate too. So that's an interesting point to make about this one. But yeah, I like this beer, I have to say. This would be quite a nice one to have in a 6-pack or something like that and take away with you for an evening and just enjoy a few. It's really, it maintains that sort of mantra, if you like, from Williams Brothers, that their beers are always going to be sessionable and drinkable, but this one definitely has a little bit more kind of bite and boldness to it, compared to some of the other Williams Brothers beers that I've had, and that's not to take anything away from the other ones. The other ones are very good beers in their own right, but I like this. I think this is a solid take on the West Coast IPA, but it's definitely got a little bit of that kind of English traditional thing, because of course the IPA originally was an English style. It's got a little bit of that kind of English ale graininess to it. You get, as you go further into the aftertaste, you can feel a little bit of the graininess from the malt base pushing its way out in this. But I think this is pretty damn nice, I have to say. So thumbs up to Williams Brothers Brewing Company. Again, a nice kind of sessionable take on a West Coast IPA. I'd love to see what these guys would do with a sort of New England IPA, actually. That would be a really interesting thing, because most of the Williams Brothers beers are filtered and things. They are kind of clear, sessionable ales, actually. So that would be an interesting thing for Williams Brothers to try. Who knows, they might do it in the future. But in terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say yeah, mid-bodied beer. Carbonation smooth. This one definitely leans towards the oily side of things in terms of its overall mouthfeel. In terms of hoppy bitterness, I think this one, I've got a feeling this is maybe about 50 IBUs, something like that. It does have a little bit of that nice kind of floral aromaticity to it. I think about 50 IBUs for this beer. The malt base, as I say, it's got a nice bit of smoothness to it, but it's also got some sweeter kind of caramelly and biscuity notes, which helps bring out some of the oily feel that the beer has. Some nice juicy fruits as well, and those lean towards the oily end of the spectrum also. So quite an oily beer overall, this one. I think it comes out really nice. So yeah, this is one that I do wish we could get over in Sweden, actually, but like I say, it's exclusive to Aldi stores in Scotland, unfortunately, but definitely one to have a go at if you get the chance. It's quite a good gateway West Coast IPA in my mind for you to try things. If you tried this one, this would get you into things like Overtone or Tempest or whatever. So yeah, I think this is quite cool. But like I say, I want to try these new tall boy beers that Williams Brothers have been releasing and see what those are like, because I've heard those are a little bit bolder compared to other things that they've done before. But if you like session beers, as I said, Williams Brothers Brewing Company are one of the breweries that you definitely want to check out. My personal favourites, Caesar Augustus, Paradigm Shift is quite an interesting one. Pavlov's Dog I like as well, and the oh, it's going out of my head, the March of the Penguins is a really quite nice stout as well, actually. So yeah, definitely definitely a brewery to check out if you're interested in Scottish beer, and one of the more established craft breweries, I guess we could say as well. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one is the Klute, a West Coast IPA from Williams Brothers Brewing Company in Alloa here in Clackmannanshire in Scotland. You will see me review my other local brewery tomorrow, the Harveston Brewery from Alva, and this is what I always do when I come to Scotland, always kick off with the local breweries again. But you will see some more Scottish reviews over the next week or two, and I hope you enjoy them. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Williams Brothers Brewing Company as well. We'll definitely return to these guys at some point soon. Hopefully I can review the Tall Boys for you at some point during this trip home, but I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I will catch you guys very soon. Until the next time, Slanger just now, and I'll catch you guys later. The Klute West Coast IPA at 5.6% ABV from Williams Brothers Brewing Company in Alloa, Clackmannanshire, Scotland, exclusive to Aldi stores in Scotland. Slanger, Skål, cheers.